All right, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This is for YouTube. This is Pastor Dowell, and this is
Brother Rich.
Brother Rich. What do you call it? A voice of spiritual
No
ventriloquism.
ordinary voice of spiritual ventriloquism, the dummy himself.
The dummy himself. Okay. We are out here, and of course, we got a few things we're going to talk about here, but you're going to have to put on your thinking cap, and you really truly going to have to do it. But hey, I did look on some videos today, and I realized that there are a lot of messianic conferences that are scheduled this year, and some in San Diego and other places and stuff. I can guarantee you this. This is what's going to take place at every one of those messianic conferences. Number one, you will see nor feel any anointing or power from the Holy Spirit at those places. Number two, there will be no healing of the sick like Yeshua HaMashiach commanded us and told us to do.
I'm certain.
Number three, there will be no casting out of devils. These people are literally void of power. So that's three things I can literally guarantee you that you will definitely not see at a messianic conference. Now let's go with the things you will see. Number one, you will learn Jewish folklore. You will learn how to do dances, Jewish dances. You will learn that. And number three, you will get talked half to death about what they perceive to be what Torah is, coming from the perception of their own mind, which is totally off base, but really is laced under Talmudic teachings. That I can guarantee you that's what you're going to experience. So when you look at Yeshua HaMashiach, our King, Jesus the Christ, and you weigh what he told the disciples that they should do, and when he said, and signs should follow those, it's really pretty simple when it comes to the acid test. Those who are really truly his and those who are really truly not. So anyway, but that's not what this video is about. This video is about Brother Rich and I, we're walking down the road and we're carrying on the conversation. And we're talking about Eastern thought versus Western thought. And I started the conversation with him, and this is what I said to Brother Rich. I said, Brother Rich, I had Brother Steve up in Canada send me an article. And the article is, and I want y'all to listen to me very closely, okay? Listen to me very closely. All right. Black Hebrew Israelite cult polygamist gets 2 life sentences for killing his wife and his child. Now, okay, I can understand him getting 2 life sentences for killing his wife and his child. Because, I mean, after all, according to Torah, he should get the death penalty. Yeah. But that's American justice for you. You get 3 squares and a cot whenever you transgress the law. But anyway, I said, it's amazing how that what they did, and they do this all the time, they throw in the fact that he's a polygamist. Do you know that people who are in polygamy or polygyny, which is a proper term, that has really truly never been prosecuted in this country, none whatsoever at all? What they'll do is that whatever these people are faced with, they'll always throw that in there to try to evilly affect you people's minds to think that the reason and the cause for these people being in this sick, sad condition is because they were polygamous. And so I began to say to Brother Rich, I said, what's amazing? Thomas Jefferson, one of the founding fathers of this country. Yes, sir. He was a polygamist, a known polygamist. Yes. But we don't want to talk about that, though, because we got to sweep that under the rug, because after all, he's a what? Founding father, right?
Father, yeah.
European founding father. Mm-hmm. And then, of course, Bill Clinton. Not only is he a known polygamist, he's a known pedophile. But, but that's Bill Clinton, though. Mm-hmm. But then when it comes to people, we was looking at a video earlier. It's just utterly amazing. What's your thoughts on this, Brother Rich? What's your thoughts on this, in the rest of this perspective? And then we'll hit on a couple of others.
Well, it's amazing. If there's a buck to be made, everybody's all going to get on the bandwagon, mm-hmm. I mean, like the whole thing with Bill Clinton's polygamy, they had a dress that they auctioned for,
Mama Lewinsky's dress.
Yeah, right. I mean, they sold the thing. I don't know whether it was $100,000 or something like that, but it's just crazy. It's amazing because the elite, they do practice this behind the scenes. Mm-hmm. Okay. They have their wives, their secondary wives, their girlfriends, their mistresses, and they all rear their children in private out mm-hmm. of the public view. They get the leg up in society. They practice what they forbid you to do. Okay.
Right.
And that is because, as I've been learning from several people more now in the recent days, is that it's more of a matter of economic warfare that has been launched against common people in particular. But especially it is to keep the Hebrew Israelites oppressed, and the black Hebrew Israelites in particular. Because they understand the power of unification of the tribes of Israel, regardless of race or skin color.
Right.
They understand the power of togetherness and oneness. You know, you go to the book of Revelation, it says these all have in one mind. They gave their power and strength unto the beast. You know, it's amazing that the wicked, they can do this, and they can do it freely, and they do it with absolute selflessness
And immunity.
right? And immunity. But when it comes to Yah's people, there's all these reservations, you know. And but yeah, I mean, it's amazing that the media wants to emphasize and put that emphasis on this man did this, but there's actually 20 monogamists that end up probably killed their wife and their child last week alone.
But they never say that, though.
No, they're not going to
Never say
say,
that.
you know, white monogamous Israelite kills, or white monogamous Baptist, or white monogamous Church of Christ kills wife and child.
Let's change channels here for a second. Let's go to the contrast or the difference between Western culture versus Eastern culture. Now, we all know that the Bible is written from an Eastern perspective.
Absolutely.
We all know that all the prophets, all the Hebrew people were Eastern, in fact.
That's right.
But you know, we was talking, and I think that you had made mention to me about how that, okay, if you have a young man, he comes up into a group of elders.
Right.
Go ahead and carry on.
Well, yeah, I was reading in a book by Brother Solomon last week, and he made that point, you know, in this researching the differences between the two cultures. Aki Solomon said in his book, he said, you know, when a young man who's not married, he approaches a group of elders, and the first thing the elders are going to ask him is, why have you approached this group? In fact, that was what that man asked me when I visited his page. He asked me, why have you come here? And he deserved an answer. It's his page. He
got that right.
You know, he deserves to ask the question. And I told him, you know, that we had a discourse before, and I was very impressed with his commentary. It was very good wisdom and sound advice. And so I wanted to, you know, come back and hear some more. And he said, oh, okay. You know, but yeah, the very first thing the elders will ask the young man, what are you doing here? And the reason, he said, the reason is because a young man who's not married has nothing to offer older people that are married. He's outside that realm of life.
Yeah.
He hasn't entered, he hasn't crossed that threshold yet to be able to understand the concepts of what it is to be a right ruling man who's married, and the things that come along with it, as far as, you know, the way business is discussed amongst men and things like that. So yeah, that was the very first thing I asked him. There is protocols in the East that we're very sloppy with here in the West. We have watered them down to the point that they don't even exist anymore. And
That's
now the young behaves himself unseemly. He rises against the hoary head.
No respect.
No respect at all. And he thinks that that he is on an equal footing, you know, and that's what this democracy, Western democracy, this de jure equality, this equality between the sexes, when really there is true equality, but not the way they're promoting
Exactly.
it. You know?
Equality comes when there's
Right.
no respect of persons concerning salvation.
Right.
But we all have roles to play.
And it turns us all into animals that just show up to the feed trough at a certain hour to get our daily ration. That's where they want to reduce us to.
Give us another example that we may have talked about, a difference between Western thought versus Eastern thought.
One of the things was that you'd brought up yesterday in the
Shabbat service.
Shabbat service, yes. You were drawing upon Jesus's comments about why he came.
Right.
Most people get the idea, especially this time of year, too recently, it's peace on earth, goodwill towards men.
Yes, sir.
And yeah, but it is peace on earth because the only one who is peace finally came to the earth. And the goodwill toward men, we have to understand that is Yah's goodwill toward his people Israel.
That's right.
First and foremost.
And that's not that war-torn state across the land that's inhabited by the Khazarians.
No, sir. He didn't come to Denmark. He wasn't born, on an iceberg in Siberia or anything like that. So it's to his people. But the thing of it is that, and he told us what you brought up. He said, think not. He said, don't even think that I came to bring peace.
Right.
I did not come to bring peace, but a sword.
Correct.
And it's a spiritual sword. He said, I came to set a man at variance with his father and the mother against the daughter.
Now, draw a narrative from that.
Well,
the narrative is...
The narrative being is that...
husband and wife...
Right. Husband and wife weren't mentioned. And I want to draw this back just like, in the old days, when you go throughout all of Torah, the lesbianism is never mentioned one time.
Never mentioned.
Not one single time is it mentioned. And I pondered on that, and really I could never come up, and the only thing I could come up with is that was an unthinkable thing back then.
It was detestable.
It was men who were finding different ways to the same end, or different means, and it was a detestable thing. A woman had no concept of that type of
Not the Hebrew
activity. Women. Men were the ones who first ventured out into that abomination first.
Called homosexuality.
Exactly. So what was unthinkable in Eastern culture early on in our history or in our development of our wickedness, we might always, just say, that was unthinkable. Now, today, it's not only thinkable, but it's common practice. So going back to the text itself, there's no mention of Yah bringing a sword between a wife and her husband.
Because that was something that the Eastern cultures never had trouble or problems with.
No.
This is a Western concept.
It is a Western concept.
And that's why women rise up against their authority, their husbands, their heads.
Yes, sir.
That's why they disagree with them and think that they have the right to be able to assert their so-called perceived authority through the matriarchal rule of this feminist society.
Well, yeah, and what they're doing is that the powers that be, the advertising, Hollywood, and media, what they want to do is they've always wanted to move women out from under the authority, the direction, and direct protection
of the patriarchal
rule in a man, and turn them into what the brother said was called public property. They want to make women public property. You don't belong to a man, you belong to any man.
The prophet Yeshayahu said that in the last days that children would be our oppressors and women would rule over us.
That's true.
And you made another statement about coming down the road about how that when this society does not like what the Bible has to say, they make addendums to the rules.
Well, yeah, and going back to that text, that's what I was saying earlier was what we've done is because we've gone from Eastern thought where things were unthinkable. They weren't even written down. There's one place Yah said, even I did not think that they would do such things. Now, I'm not saying he was knocked off his throne and
he just didn't think that men would go that far.
He just really didn't believe his children would actually take it there.
Morally
and they did. They burnt their babies in a valley
and then
called Hinnom. Yeah,
and some of them eat
to
them.
Baal, Peor, and Moloch, and what they've done is so now Jesus, when he made this dividing the son against the father, the mother against the daughter, the daughter-in-law against the mother-in-law, he never mentioned the division or the separation of the husband and the wife, because in Eastern culture, the two, saith he, shall become one flesh.
That's
that
right.
was something that was just taken for granted. Rich or poor or
Free or
whatever
bond.
lot you found yourself in life, there you were. You were under the law of your husband until he was dead, and then you're freed from the law of your husband. But so anyway, now we've come so far in this Western culture and this Western thought. We've become so wicked against the covenant that now we've got to literally hammer on addendums to the word of Elohim or to the words of Yeshua.
That's right.
And say now, well, he didn't think about this back then. I'm not going to say that, but it wasn't there, and now it is. This is common today, that the husband or the wife is opposing her husband. The husband is being a stumbling block to the wife. So now he's got to, and it's because of the word. It's because of the word that many are offended, and so now we've got to hammer on addendums to the gospel, to the Besorah, to make accommodations for the evolution of our wickedness from back then in the Eastern mindset to where we're at now in the Western mindset.
And that's why the majority of you people here in the United States of America, you might as well just take that Bible and just throw it out of your house, because you don't obey it, and you're not even thinking about obeying it in the first place. We can continue to go on here, but I think we pretty much have made a point here about, contrasting Western thought versus Eastern thought, mindset, perspective, the illusion and the delusion that we find ourselves under. And then we understand the reason why, why today people process thought and why they're so adamant and so rebellious, concerning biblical lifestyles.
Yes, sir.
The truth of Yah's word, which they're not opposing you and I. We didn't write it. He didn't ask us to represent our own personal opinion,
Right.
or the opinion of the American society. Exactly. He asked us to represent his truth, and as messengers, that's exactly what we should be doing. Changing channels here, the last one. They're getting ready to have a Messianic conference. I got to get on that again, and it's amazing because Zach, the guy who actually is get on here making a video about the Messianic conference. He's got, you people all the time accuse me of racism because you don't know me. But anyway, I keep trying to tell y'all, when you watch the way these people function, and they can't help it, you will see the marginalization, you will see the lack of name calling, which was something common in the Bible. Paul called names, and Jesus called names.
Sure.
They wasn't these sweet, kind, nice, sissified people like America would like to have their preachers today.
Right. Yeah.
But he mentions in there, he calls off all these speakers that's going to show up at this Messianic conference. But then there's this one black speaker, he never mentions his name, but he puts a footnote. Oh, I forgot to mention him. I wonder why he forgot to mention him. I tell you what, Brother Rich, I'll give you the last word.
Well, it's amazing that there's such a really a whitewashing of the Hebrew movement, that this thing is it is driven by the false religion of Judaism, and Western Judaism in particular, not Eastern Judaism, the thing of it is that there has always been a marginalization. You have to understand too, great numbers of these people that are in the Messianic movement came out of what used to be called the Worldwide Church of God.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
And then there's also has been a lot of Mormons and things like that.
Herbert W. Armstrong.
Right. Yeah. And these are pretty much a white. It's pretty much a European flavor, only in recent years has there been a real increase in the numbers of
the new
Africans or black people in the Messianic movement.
That's because they repented and they're no longer cursed with black skin.
Well, yeah, I mean that's
Anyway, go ahead. Sorry for throwing y'all.
That's okay. We're not going to get into the Talmud.
All right.
The Haggadah, but anyway, Yeah. The thing of it is that they're always, there's a marginalization. It's like you said, Pastor. You got all these white people on there. The black guy's sticking out like a sore thumb in the top right-hand corner of the page, and you forget to mention. I find that rather odd.
There's something
At
flying
least
under the
very
radar.
odd. And to me, I would have mentioned them first, but back in the 50s they were last, so
Yeah.
I guess we're accustomed to that.
They come from the Constitution of being three-fifths human and
Yeah.
stuff. Their status hadn't risen too far from that.
Right.
Well, hey, I hope that you all have enjoyed what we said, and at least the commentary that we thought was pretty, not only educational, but hopefully it would help stimulate the thought pattern. Because we definitely need stimulation, because I often say it, if I said it once, say it 1,000 times, we have been trained
Yes.
in this country, not educated by any stretch of imagination. The Messiah that you think you know, you really truly don't know. He called people, go check it out. Go check it out. In the Gospels, he actually called people dogs. He called a woman a dog.
Yes, he did.
He called people
And her daughter, a little
devils, children of the devil. You have your father, the devil. Yeah. He actually called them hypocrites, vipers. Ask them, how can you escape the damnation of hell? And then Paul told one man, you're a child of the devil as well.
Yeah.
And then he turned people
Delivered
over to
them
the
to
devil,
Satan.
delivered them
Hymenaeus
over to
and
Satan.
Alexander,
Sure
yeah.
did, didn't he? Of
Did
course,
much
now
evil.
these are new concepts in this type of Christian, Western thought today. When people start doing this, first thing you start doing is inserting your feelings and emotions. And like most of you are thinking, well, why in the world you say you're going to give Brother Rich the last word? Yeah, the last word on what we were talking about. Yeah, again, it's about how you process thought.
That's
here.
right.
But most of you don't know the Hebrew prophets. And if you did, if you think with the way that your mind functions today, you would stone them. Moses wouldn't be welcome here in this society today. And all you people who say you love Jesus, when he come into your home or come into your churches and he starts tearing down your little personal theologies and doctrines, when he starts blasting your sorry preachers who are lying to you, most of you people would, today you wouldn't hang him on a tree, or commonly called a cross. You put him in an electric chair. And it would be maybe 200 or 300 years later, you'd realize that you killed the Messiah, your children's children would. And then instead of all the churches having crosses up on the back of their pulpits, they'll have electric chairs in the back of their pulpits. But you really, truly don't know the prophets because you don't know yourself. You don't know all the people that has come on before us. And it's just a sad situation. So when you see someone like myself, Brother Rich, talking here, and our speech is totally contrary to the Western concept, the Western thought or influence, the first thing you do is you practice rejection. And you practice this rejection because you're not familiar with this kind of delivery. And the reason why you're not familiar with this kind of delivery, because you do not know the people of the book. You don't know who they were. Even if you read it, it's read to you as a fairy tale. It's read to you as some story from Dr. Seuss.
Well, it has to be, because it's irreconcilable with the society we're living in.
That's true.
There's nothing to it.
Let me say this again. I don't know why I keep having these questions, but I keep having these questions. And I'm going to answer it like this, and we're done with this video. I had another question sent me today and asked me, would I allow a polygamous family to actually come and join and be a part of the Church of Straightway? Well, first of all, we don't have any membership that you can join. You can be a part of us simply on you being a man of your word. And number two, no, we will not discriminate against someone who is actually practicing the biblical lifestyle. We're not like you that let adulterers and fornicators, come into the assembly and stay in that lifestyle, and you give them chartered membership. We don't do that. We don't do that here because it's forbidden in the law.
It is.
To have those type of practices, because we don't want that kind of spirit amongst us. But we will never discriminate against someone that is practicing the biblical lifestyle for too long. The United States of America, these pork-chop, blackballed niggas have actually blackballed the people and actually marginalized the people who have actually are a whole lot more astute when it comes to Scripture than you people are in the world. And you can't argue and fight against that because they choose to live in their lifestyle. And of course, most of you, since you have no spiritual power at all, you can try to use the power of the state against these people, but you will not succeed because it's just simply not prosecuted, kind of like adultery is not prosecuted.
No laws on the books.
No laws on the books. Because to do that, that means the Constitution is null, nil, and void, because George Washington was a polygamist. Thomas Jefferson was a polygamist. John Adams was a polygamist. We could go all the way down the line. They were all polygamists, every single one of them. But, you know, I think what it is in the hour we're living in, Brother Rich, is that people, it's too much of a shock to their cardinal minds, and they don't want to hear it. Even though they really have never practiced monolygamy in the first place.
Never. No. That's a
sad situation.
It's an illusion.
Yeah, it is. Brother Rich, appreciate you being here with us.
Well, thank you, Pastor.
Yes, sir. Y'all be encouraged, and I hope that what we've said don't shake you too bad. But all you have to do is just get square. Your problem is not with myself or Brother Rich. It's with him, the creator of the universe. And if you disagree with us about anything we say, then the burden of proof is on you.
True.
Y'all have a good day. Shalom. King coming. Keep the faith. All right, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Since you to his Pastor Dow. You know, I want to talk to you just for a moment about the extraordinary amount of influence that our government has over us. You know, government has control over the families by licenses. Government has control over our economics because they're the one who's actually, you know, sets the money and the value of money and the trade of it. And of course, last but not least, government controls our schools. In essence, controls your thought. You know, here in the ministry, you know, when we greet each other or if we're answering the telephone, we'll greet, you know, greetings, shalom straightway, or peace be unto you, or something of that sort. But have many of you people who have grown up here in America ever thought about some of the positions that you hold? Have you ever thought that they're irrational? Have you ever thought that while you thinking that you're in control, you're actually not in control whatsoever at all? For instance, how many of you answer the phone, even still till today, saying hello? Think it for a minute. Hello. Think about that. Hello. How many of you still do that today? Now, hey, people can make suggestions to you because that's all we can do, especially when all we're doing is presenting information to you. But how many times have you know, you've heard the preacher, me, say there's a reason why here at Straightway we don't answer the phone hello, because hell is low. And why would you want to curse somebody? Now I understand that means you think that's my own personal opinion and perspective and stuff, but think about it for a second. Where did you learn that behavior? Where were you trained in learning how to answer the phone? Who gave you the instructions? Who gave you the rules of engagement? Who gave you the laws? Who instructed you how to answer the phone? Yet and still, if you claim to be somebody in the faith, why is it so difficult to change from the heathen, pagan, Gentile mindset and actually get a little bit closer to what is more to the faith? I mean, think about that. Egos is some destructive natures in this society today. And some of us, we will hold on to every stitch of this evil, wicked Gentile world simply because we think, since we agreed to it ourselves, that actually give us power and influence over others. When really, truly, you are the model of a zombie, mannequin, controlled entity. Think about that for a second, because if I present information to you and if it's not harmless, you still have hey, it's up to you. You can ultimately choose to refuse, reject it, or accept it and walk in it. Still up to you, but hey, what harm can it be to let go of your ego and your pride and to actually admit that there are things that you have believed in the past that just literally have been wrong? See, we have a particular function here in this society, and it's called a sincere, deep level of pride. Saving face has become a high commodity in this society right here. Most of us, it's like I had a debate not too long ago with this guy by the name of Stanley Savane. And I let the public actually answer within their own selves, you know, who won the debate and who lost the debate. And I had an overwhelming 90% of the people who say and watch that debate, listen to that debate, that I won that debate. Now, again, like I said before, and I said 1,000 times, anytime that I debate anyone, and, I kind of got off track, I kind of got sidetracked here for a minute, but it's not my intent to ever debate anyone that's not heavy hitters. But anyway, getting back to this debate right here, I often say that debating itself, there's really no winners and losers. The ideal of debate is for you to present the truth and let the people decide. And if you can convert one person over to what you believe to be the truth, and then they can walk after it, and the fruit of their life shows from it, then you've actually won. Even if it's only one person, and that's just the truth. That's the truth straight away. But I'm making sure that I got all kind of just young people, young whippersnappers who have no scholarship, no theology, no historical reference, facts, perspective, viewpoints, no geography. They're totally ignorant of scriptures, totally ignorant of God's law. They have no idea but they do know what Christianity says. They do know what Christianity says. Don't have a lick of sense or intelligence know what the Bible says, but they do know what Christianity says. The philosophical perspective of Christianity and the paganism of it, which they really truly don't understand, that they're defending Scandinavian, pagan, European, Gentile gods. Horus, Odin, Zeus, Athena, and the list goes on and on and on, which you've commonly accepted in your culture. Let's just tell the truth. That's what this thing is all about. America represents a certain culture. And this culture, before we came out of our mother's womb, was already in place. How much of it have you intellectually challenged? How much of it have you actually done your due diligence, your own personal investigation to check to see if these things are true or not? A lot of internet bullies out there. A lot of people love to bully you over them to their opinion and stuff, but I believe that people within themselves should actually use self-autonomy, do their due diligence, test everything. There's a lot of information out there. And there's a lot to wade through and sift through in order to get the bottom line, to understand what the truth is. And then if you have any interest in walking in the truth after you discover it, then it could be nothing more benefit to you, because after all, if you walk in the lie, you're under the illusion of a lie or the truth, and you think it is the truth when it really truly is a lie. Not only are you perpetuating destruction and doubt and unbelief in your generation, starting with you yourself, but what are you going to do about those children who, after all these years, you have spoken to them and told them you better believe what your mom and daddy says and stuff, when they come to find out you lied to them about Christmas, Easter, and especially Christianity, when none of it was the truth anyway? How are you going to recover those minds? Most of them end up growing up, going to school, and becoming staunch atheists. And you know what? The fault lies with you, because you did not give them any morals and values. It's obvious that we're spiritually bankrupt as a society. It's obviously that we are in a very serious moral decay, and the decline is rapid, very, very rapid. Our loss of spirituality, our lack of morality, and especially who's going to define it for us? Since everybody seems to be doing the satanic model of doing that which is right in everyone's own eyes, we're being destroyed as a people. We have to start asking ourselves, who are these people that are submitting these thoughts to our minds, giving us all these suggestions and ideas, and causing us to function and think a certain way, and all it's doing is destroying us, but it's actually bringing us in line and closer to those who we never understand and see, which is elected officials of government. Man, we've been had.